Hey guys, Mr. Howard here, and today I am super excited to talk to you about one of my favorite Genshin Impact characters, the Electro Queen herself, the almighty Bug Zapper. I mean, Raiden Shougun. Yeah, Raiden Shougun. Now this video will be a little different from other Genshin videos because we will not be talking about her skills, the best artifacts for her, or even her in-game lore. No, instead, we'll be taking a look at her names, their meanings, her mythological influences, as well as her English and Japanese voice actors. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, let's start with her names. Starting with the name of Raiden Shogun. The Raiden part of her name, written like this, means thunder and lightning, while Shogun means general. So her full name can be translated as Thunder and Lightning General, or General of Thunder and Lightning, which is pretty badass, wouldn't you say? Now, the next name I want to look at is Ball, which is also spelled like this. Now, Ball means lord or owner, which is rather fitting for our girl, wouldn't you say? Okay, let's get into the last name of hers I want to talk about, which is her true name of A, which is hands down my favorite of all her names, because there's more to it than
meets the eye.
Precisely. Now, when I first heard this name, I thought it had a completely different meaning, but then one of Raiden's story trailers told me that her true name of A meant shadow, and I was like, huh, I guess I was wrong. But then I had a epiphany that Asian cultures love wordplay, especially when it comes to their writing system, because a lot of things can be said the same way, but when written differently, the meaning completely changes. And after realizing this, I came to love her name even more, because I had a feeling I knew what they were doing with it. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? Well, let me explain. But to do this, we must first take a look at a quote that Raiden has in one of her story trailers, specifically from her trailer, Promise of a People's Dream. And the quote goes like this: I am no longer the shadow. Mine is the most supreme and noble form. Let power over the realm be vested within me. In this form shall I honor my subjects' dream, for a land of eternity, unchanging forevermore. And it was this quote that got me extremely excited, because I realized that I wasn't completely off at what her name meant. I was just looking at it the wrong way. Now, to further explain why this quote got me so excited, we must look at the line in which she says, I am no longer the shadow. Now, it was this that got me pretty excited, because it was her saying that she was discarding the original meaning of her name, which is shadow, and thus meaning it has become something else. She has become something else. And what is that something else she has become? Well, she says, mine is the most supreme and noble form. Let power of the realm be vested within me. In this form shall I grant my subjects dreams for a land of eternity, unchanging forevermore. And that's the key right there. Eternity. She is saying she is now the embodiment of eternity, which just happens to be another meaning of the name A, which is eternity. When it means shadow, it's written like this. But when written like this, A means eternity. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. These people put way too much thought into these characters for it to be mere coincidence. Wouldn't you agree? Oh, as a side, A can also be written like this, which means prosperous, which also just happens to be what she wants for her kingdom, a prosperous kingdom. Coincidence? Maybe. Or did they factor that into her name as well? We may never know, but it is something to think about. Alright, now let's take a look at some of the things that influenced Raiden's character, starting with her character design, which seems to pull from a character from one of MiHoYo's other games, that character being Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact 3rd. But appearances is not the only thing that is similar between the two of them. They also have similar names, as well as both being associated with lightning. But that's not all that is similar between the two. However, I'll get into what else they share a bit later. For now, we shall be looking at her mythological influences. The first being Baal. Now, Baal is a god who comes mainly from ancient Syria, but is also found in the Middle Kingdom of Egypt as well as North Africa. Baal is a god of war, fertility, sailors, and most importantly, lightning. Lightning is the most important here, since this is what Raiden's powers are based on. Plus, her name of Baal comes from this very god. On top of that, this god's mythology seems to also play a role in Raiden's in-game lore, but we will not be going into that to avoid any spoilers for newer players. There's another god that seems to have had great influence on Raiden's character, that being Raijin, the Japanese god of thunder and storms. There are a couple things that point to this. One being the Tomoe symbol found throughout Raiden's outfit, which looks like this. This is important because it leads into our second thing, which is the Chakra Ring found behind Raijin's back. This is important because this Chakra Ring is also very reminiscent of the one that appears behind Raiden's back. Now, to further explain why this is important, we must examine the drums on Raijin's Chakra Ring behind his back. They have the Tomoe symbol on them, which is rather interesting because when you look at the Chakra Ring behind Raiden's back, they have something very reminiscent of the Tomoe symbol, the Electro symbol, which to me is just a stylized version of the Tomoe symbol. Can you see the similarities? Or maybe I'm just crazy. What do you think, Raiden? I knew you would agree. Thanks, Beady Beady. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. She really hates it when I call her that. In any case, let's move on to my final section, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, the English and Japanese voice actors. Let's get to it. Let's start with Anne Yatko, Raiden's English voice actor. Now, she seems rather new to voice acting, so there are not a lot of roles to pull from, but there are a few of note, such as Rosalie from Killing Slimes for 300 Years, Akiko from Devilman, but the character that stood out to me most was this character. That's right, Nobara from Jujutsu Kaisen. And here are a few others that you might know. Now, when it comes to Raiden's Japanese voice actor, Miyuki Sawashiro, boy, does this lady have a lot of roles under her belt. But the ones that stood out to me most are Shinku from Rose and Maiden, Kanbaru from the Monogatari series, Ultir from Fairy Tail, and Sinon from the SAO series, and many more. However, there are a few other characters I want to mention, starting with the character I mentioned earlier in the video. Do you remember who it is? That's right, Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact. I told you they had more in common than their appearances. Now, before I end off, a last few characters to mention. A few from a popular gacha game called Fire Emblem Heroes, and those three characters are Camilla, Robin, and Morgan. Not to mention, here's a surprise part, Miyuki will also be voicing a character in Season 2 of Demon Slayer named Daki. So look forward to that. Or, if you're in the future, I hope you enjoyed the role. Now, before I go, let's all remember that Raiden Shougun is best bug zapper, and she'll put a shock to your system. Best girl. Mr. Howry out.